Right? This isn't just a random sampling of Jesus' power. Hey, Jesus has got it. No, these are the worst case scenarios. This is a series of some of the worst things that you could ever find yourself in when it's darkest, when hope is long gone, when nothing has ever worked, but then Jesus shows up. And when Jesus shows up, Jesus is perfectly able to handle any difficulty, any struggle, any hardship. Luke 8, verse 22. There we go. Now, it came to pass on a certain day. You see that now is the break. It's not immediately following. It came to pass on a certain day that he went into a ship with his disciples and said unto them, Let us go over unto the other side of the lake. And they launched forth. But as they sailed, he fell asleep. And there came down a storm of wind on the lake. And they were filled with water and were in jeopardy. Mark's account tells us that it was night. By the time they got to this spot, it was night, and that they worked hard to bail the ship out of water, to bail water out of the ship. Luke isn't giving us any of those details. Verse 24. And they came to him and awoke him, saying, Master, Master, we perish. Then he arose and rebuked the wind and the raging of the water, and they ceased. And there was a calm. I know you've read this passage before. I know you know the story. There's several accounts like this. I know you know it. But my friend, there ought to be a little amazement when someone stands up and says, wind is done, raging of waters still, and then it happens? Yeah. There was calm. And he, Jesus, said unto them, Where is your faith? And they, being afraid, wondered, saying one to another, What manner of man is this? For he commandeth even the winds and water, and they obey him. Following Jesus does not exempt us from difficulty and danger. Following Jesus does not exempt us from difficulty and danger. Jesus can absolutely be trusted in the storms of life. Many people have the idea that storms come to their lives only when they have disobeyed God, but this is not always the case. Jonah ended up in a storm because of his disobedience, but the disciples got in a storm because of their obedience. We aren't trying to minimize or excuse the hardships that we go through in life, but my friend, we do need to understand that in the middle of the hardships, Jesus is with us. Jesus is there. No, while the disciples labored and while the disciples were worried, Jesus was at rest. When the storm raged around them, there was peace within the Master. No, there was no concern. He wasn't worried about how things were going to turn out. We talked about this morning in Sunday school. God has never one time ever been surprised. He has never gotten up and gone, oh my goodness, I didn't know. That has never occurred to God. That has never happened to the sovereign one. No, my friend, Jesus is fully aware. And while the disciples may have thought that they were alone, while the disciples struggled in the night, while the disciples were there, Jesus was there as well. He had never left. We say it clearly, Jesus has full authority in the trials that you face. He is Lord over your storm. He is Lord over your storm. The leader of this group, the one that got us into this boat, the one that we have been following for a while now, the one that we have heard teach, the one that has been with us, that has led us and guided us, Master, we perish. But what, my friends, I don't know that they totally got this figured out yet. In fact, we know that they haven't. They didn't understand. They didn't see that while they called him master in order to tell them because he was the one in charge, he was the leader, they were actually talking to the one who was the master of the wind. No, not just master of their group, not just the rabbi that would taught them. He was master over all. Master of creation. Now, I don't know that they had it all figured out yet, but they did go to the right place. The master of the wind. When Jesus stands up, he rebukes the wind. That's what the account says. He rebukes the wind. The disciples in verse number 25 say that he commanded even the winds and the water. And what Jesus is doing in that moment when he rebukes and commands the winds and the waves, my friend, Jesus is doing what only God could do. Okay, let me be clear. Psalm chapter 65, verse 7. Which stilleth the noise of the sea, the noise of their waves, and the tumult of the people. That's what God does. Stills the noise of the sea. Psalm 89, verse 9. Thou rulest the raging of the sea. When the waves thereof arise, thou stillest them. Psalm 106, verse 9. Listen to this. He, God, rebuked the Red Sea also, and it was dried up. He led them through the depths, through the wilderness. And it's just worth pointing out there that when scholars translated the Old Testament into Greek, they use the very same word that Luke uses, rebuke the wind and waves. Here's a long one, Psalm 107. I'm going to read the whole thing because it's worth it. Psalm 107. They that go down to the sea in ships, that do business in great waters, these see the work of the Lord, and his wonders in the deep. For he commandeth and raiseth the stormy wind, which lifted up the waves thereof. They mount up to the heaven, they go down again into the depths. That's what it felt like on the Columbia River. It probably wasn't, but that's what it felt like, okay? Their soul is melted because of trouble. They reel to and fro and stagger like a drunken man. They are at and are at their wits' end. Then they cry unto the Lord in their trouble, and he bringeth them out of their distresses. Listen, please. He maketh the storm a calm, so that the waves thereof are still. Then are they glad because they be quiet. He bringeth them unto their desired haven. Oh, that men would praise the Lord for his goodness, for his wonderful works to the children of men. Let them exalt him also in the congregation of the people, and praise him in the assembly of the elders. Now, don't miss this, my friend. When Jesus rebukes the wind and the wave, he is doing what God said he would do. He's doing what God said he would do. No, there's no question for us, for you and I, when we look at this text and we look at it and we get to think about it. Disciples missed it in the moment. Maybe they missed it in the moment, but even they're wondering, who is this? Who is this that can do this? My friend, the answer is God. God does this. No, God steps in to the stormy parts of your life. God can step in to the difficulties, the hardships, when the waves are high and when the valleys are low, when it seems like there's no way out. God can step in and can make it calm. God can do that. That's what God can do. And here's Jesus doing what God does. No, don't miss this. Don't miss this. This is because Jesus is God. Yep, because Jesus is God. The same God that created all things, the same God that formed you in your mother's womb, the same God that is with you in your difficulty, with you in your struggle, with you in your trial. My friend, our responsibility is that we would have faith, that we would trust him. See, Jesus didn't stop that day with commanding the elements. Say, okay, wind is stopped, waves are calm, going back to bed. Jesus didn't stop with just commanding the elements. Because the biggest problem of that day was not what was going on outside of the boat. The biggest problem of the day is what was going on inside of his followers' hearts. Okay. Make sure I draw that connection real clear. Your biggest issues are never outside of you. Say, you don't know what I'm going through. No, listen carefully. Your biggest issues are never outside of you. It is always what is inside of you that matters most. Always. Always. The biggest problem wasn't that they had a big storm outside. The biggest concern was the unbelief in their hearts. Jesus calms the storm, turns to the disciples, verse 25, and asks the question, where's your faith? Where's your faith? No, there's no implication in Jesus' question that they did not believe God. There's no indication, there's no accusation in Jesus' question. Well, you don't even really believe that I'm the Messiah, do you? That's not what he's saying. He is not saying, well, wow, look at that. When push comes to shove, you don't even believe that, God can do big things. No, his question, where is your faith? Is this, where was your faith in this circumstance? Why didn't you trust me right here? No, not why don't you believe that there is a God. Every single one of those disciples would have gone down with the ship believing there was a God. Every single one of those disciples would have gone down. They had given up their livelihoods. They had given up their way of life to follow Jesus because they believed he was the Messiah. Now, that's all fine and dandy, my friend. The question, though, comes, where is your faith in this situation? This circumstance? When the storm is raging and we begin to struggle for control, when the storm is going on and we begin to fight for the little piece that we can bring, the question is, where is your faith right there? Where's your faith right then? It's not, do you believe that there is a God? No. It's where is your faith in the middle of this circumstance? Shouldn't it count for something that Jesus is in the boat? Shouldn't it count for something that Jesus is right there with them? It's hard to answer that one, huh? Because Jesus isn't just in our boat. Sing that song with the kids. With Jesus in your boat, you can smile at the storm, smile at the storm, smile at the storm. That's fun. Yeah. It's good. But Jesus isn't just in a boat somewhere. No, Jesus said he'll never leave you nor forsake you. He is master, God, over it all. Over it all. And yet, difficulties come up. And we rush to the bestseller. We rush to the newest podcast. We pick up the phone, shoot off the text message to our group, the group of friends. Do we still text? I don't know. Is it all Snapchat now or Insta, whatever? You do whatever you do to get the advice and the help of the besties, the people around, people that have your back. The difficulty comes. Hey, hold on. Time out. Saying I shouldn't have. No, I'm not saying you shouldn't have that stuff. Not at all. But where's your faith? Because your faith's in something. No, my friend, listen, your faith is in something, and who you run to, what you run to, when it's hard, likely shows where your faith is put. My friend, here's the truth. You have no more ability to make it through your difficulties than the disciples did making it through that storm. And yet, we cling to our money. We seek the wisdom of this world. We dig deep and pull ourselves up. We hide in our hobbies. And again, I just want to make sure I'm clear. Not all of that, that's not all bad. There's good that could come from having a hobby. There's some good that comes from having godly friends. But my friend, the problem comes that we begin to place our faith and trust in what we have as if we could somehow make our path straight. We could somehow calm this storm. But my friend, you need to trust your God. That's where this boils down. Oh, the storm gets calmed. The storm is, Jesus calms the storm. He turns to the disciples, where is your faith? What is going on right here? And they turn to each other and say, manner of man is this. But don't miss the phrase. Don't miss it there at the middle of verse 25. They be afraid. No, you would think that the storm passed, so they were done being afraid. But no, the storm passed, and now they are scared. Now there's fear. Think about what they had to think about. A quote from Dale Davis. Think about what they had to think about. They're sitting in a boat with a man at a certain position on the Sea of Galilee. I mean, like there's a physical spot we could go to if we knew. We could go to that physical spot. We could see the lake. We could see the mountains around. And he, that man, tells the winds to stop blasting. And they do. Who can command the winds and the water except the Creator? The God of Psalm 106 and 107. And yet, that God is sitting in their boat. And it's the same God that walks with you. Walks with you. We know Jesus is with us. We know He can help us in our struggles and difficulties. We can even point to sometimes He has. We can point back to the moments in our life and say, no, there was no way I was getting through that, but then God showed up. There was no way I was getting through that, but then Jesus showed up. We know He's done that. And yet, come on, my friends, we sometimes still struggle to actually believe. Trust God with your house. Say, what do you mean? I mean, all the stuff that goes on with your house. Oh, is that not hardship for anyone else? Anyone else has got that nailed out and handled? No, trust God with it. Trust God with it. Hey, trust God about your kids. You don't know what they're doing. You don't know what they're saying. You don't know how they're living. Well, my friend, trust God. Trust God about your kids. No, trust God with it. Does that mean there's no action? That means I don't ever have to do anything? No, trust isn't a passive thing, my friend. But your faith isn't in your ability to handle it anyway. Or it shouldn't be. Maybe say that again. Your faith shouldn't be in your ability to make them better. Friend, you put your trust in a lot of stuff. It only belongs in the one who is with you in your storm. And that's Jesus. With you every step. See, I'm not sure you've handled what I'm going through. I'm not sure you've touched on what I've got going on in my life. My friend, Jesus knows. We don't have to hit all of it. Jesus knows exactly what you're going through. He's with you in the middle of it. You can trust that He is working out His will and plan in it. You can trust a God like that. He's right there, able to help. Hold on. Able to help. You can trust that He's working exactly what He wants done in your life. My friend, there's some help right there. Some help with a God like that. God that can calm storms can certainly help in your life.